We are going to move to our first Skype guest, but to give a little more context on her, she is a spokeswoman for the Republican National Committee for the Republican Party, and she just wrote an op-ed for The Hill talking about the Mueller Report, which we will get to and get her thoughts about this. But I know, Heather, you have lots of thoughts about the Mueller Report.
I have so many thoughts about the Mueller Report, as I like to call it, redacted. I just keep calling it redacted because that's all it was. Yes, I have many thoughts about the Mueller Report that mostly involve just what happens next.
Yes, there are lots of questions about
that's what I keep going to, is what happens next. Yesterday I saw Jake Sherman posted that Nancy Pelosi is doing a conference call with all of her members, and she's making an announcement. She's going to make an announcement to the caucus about, what their duty is as members of Congress. At first she and Steny Hoyer were at first very much like, we're not going to do anything about this. And then their members were like, wait a second.
Yeah, no, that's the push and pull of the rank and file. But Liz Harrington, let's bring her in. You there, Liz?
Yes. How are you?
Hi. Great to have you. Thanks for joining us, Liz.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So, as you know, yesterday Attorney General Barr delivered a redacted version of the Mueller Report to Congress and the public. It's been about 24 hours since the report was released. Liz, what do you think of it?
I think it's a total and complete exoneration of the entire premise of this sprawling investigation, which was there collusion? And the answer definitively is no. And I think it's time for Democrats and their allies in the media to accept reality and to finally accept the results of the 2016 election, that Donald Trump won it fairly and squarely, and he is the duly elected president, and Russia had nothing to do with it.
So we just had breaking news that Congressman Jerry Nadler has subpoenaed the unredacted version of the report. According to the Wall Street Journal, it was 12.5% of the report that was redacted. What do you think is behind that ink, Liz?
Well, I think it's ongoing matters, and I think it's also protecting confidential grand jury testimony. Everyone keeps calling it redacted to try to sort of make this innuendo that there's really a bombshell underneath the black of redactions. It's legal, it's by the book, it's actually the law requires these redactions for personal privacy, grand jury testimony, and ongoing matters. So that's what the redactions are about. Of course, the Democrats are going to try to spin it and continue with this baseless investigation because they have nothing left to run on. They've been wedded to this conspiracy theory that the Russians stole the election and that the president committed treason to win it. It's just completely baseless, and they're continue with this smear attempt because they can't run on the issues, which is the booming economy, defeating ISIS, so many things, deregulation, tax cuts. They can't win on those things, so they're going to continue to lie, leak, and smear.
We also saw in the Mueller Report and in Attorney General Barr's announcement yesterday that Russia was very much trying to involve themselves in the 2016 election. So I don't think it's fair to say that this is some sort of smear campaign and that nothing happened. But that said, the president, his initial reaction to Mueller's appointment was, "This is the end of my presidency." So what do you make of that reaction?
Well, first of all, the report definitively states that no American wittingly or unwittingly joined with the Russians in this effort. And I think it's laughable to think that some Facebook memes and $100,000 of digital ads swung a single vote because everyone already had made up their mind that Hillary Clinton was an unlikable, untrustworthy candidate with decades of baggage and scandals. We didn't need Russians walking around Manhattan wearing Santa outfits and with Trump masks to change votes. I mean, it's just laughable in his face. But also the other quote of the president is the media and Democrats are completely taking it out of context because they don't say the rest of the sentence, which was the special counsel appointment. All I've been hearing is if you get one of those, it just dogs your presidency and you can't get anything done. He was concerned about not being able to fulfill the promises that he made. He was concerned that this baseless investigation would go on forever, which it went on for 2 years and cost $35 million, all designed to undermine his presidency. And look, the swamp tried to reverse the results of the 2016 election, and they didn't win. And the president has been able to accomplish a heck of a lot despite these unprecedented attacks.
Okay.
So, Liz, you said in your op-ed that President Trump has been tougher on Russia and Putin than Obama. Give us some
Absolutely.
examples of what, your argument there.
Well, if you remember, the Washington Post had a very long expose on the Obama administration's response to the hacking. And you know what they said? Senior Obama officials said, yeah, I think we sort of choked on Russia. It was all talk. Obama said, oh, cut it out. They didn't end up actually doing anything except a symbolic gesture to kick out 35 so-called diplomats that were not even important. They did barely any sanctions. But actually, the Trump administration has targeted big money people with sanctions in Russia that has hurt them. He's kicked out way more diplomats. He's been tougher on Ukraine. He's aided the Ukrainian army. He's been tougher in Syria with defeating ISIS. I mean, there's so many things, this record. The biggest thing is just freeing up our energy exports to be the number one energy exporter in the world and hitting Russia that way. So there's so many things that the president and the administration are actually in a lot of ways, a lot tougher, and it's a complete misnomer that somehow this president is weak on Putin and Russia.
Heather, I'll give you a chance to respond.
I guess I just have to disagree there. But I mean, and I also have to wonder, if you think that any further sanctions will happen when it comes to Russia now that, like, the report still said, and Attorney General Barr still said that Russia was very much trying to influence our election, and they, so what will there be additional sanctions for Russia? Is what I have to wonder.
Russia tried and they failed. I mean, the Internet Research Agency's stated mission is to sow discord and use what they call information warfare to meddle in our elections. Of course, they tried, but I would argue that Democrats and the media have taken up the mantle of the IRA. They have sown more discord with these crazy conspiracies about Trump being a Putin stooge, being a Russian asset. The highest levels of the FBI buying into this baseless conspiracy theory and using it to spy on the Trump campaign. I mean, it's absolutely unprecedented. It's absolutely unheard of. And people need to be held accountable. Russia, of course, is going to try to meddle. And we will be vigilant against that. But let's not pretend that a single vote was changed because of their efforts.
Well, Liz, I think
Democrats and the media have done so much to try to undermine faith in our institutions by trying to undermine this president.
Liz, I think we hit a bipartisan note in the sense that both parties want to prevent Russian meddling in the future. And I'd like to leave it on that note. Liz Harrington, thanks so much for joining us.